Hey everyone, this is Sai. I'm a quant finance enthusiast. I wanted to learn a lot about quant finance, but I thought it's better to learn from the people who are actually studying the quant finance in reality. So here we got Mr. Estifanos from Lehigh University. So let's talk about quant finance. Hey Estifanos.
Hey, Sai.
So let's have a quick intro about you so that whoever is watching will understand, what's going on with you. So please go ahead.
Okay. Good thing I was practicing my elevator pitch yesterday with our professor. But anyway, I'm Estifanos Shekour. I'm doing my master's in financial engineering. This is going to be my last year at Lehigh University. Before this, I finished my undergrad at the University of St. Thomas. I did actuarial science and minor in business administration. I've always been interested in financial markets, from investing in stocks to following the news. And then after that, you start saying, oh, okay, what if I have some algorithm to train and all that? So that kind of got me into financial engineering. And here I am at Lehigh after 4 years of actuarial science. And I'm happy to be here, Sai. I look forward to the podcast.
So tell me this, Estefanos, you told that you're interested in the markets. How did that interest start? I mean, uh, is there anyone whom you had seen or whom you had learned from? Because for me, it was just out of nowhere during the COVID. I had got a lot of free time. I started watching TV, and then I had this scrolling happening where all the stock prices were listed. That's when I got interested, and that's how I explored the markets. That's why I got interested in the quant finance. So I would like to understand your interest, which sparked for you to get started in the quant finance field.
Yeah, yeah. In high school, for me, that was around 2019 or 2018. Parents were more focused on, you got to get a STEM field, either like engineering or computer science, these fields, right? So for me, that was the target. I was also like a little bit solid in math. So that was like what I was targeting. But I had this teacher. He was a math teacher, math and physics, but he was interested in business, right? So
Okay.
he taught me a little bit about, real estate, Robert Kiyosaki, those like the worlds of business. And that's
Yeah,
how
go
I
ahead.
think, yeah, that's how I think I got into the space of it's not just the STEM field, but also there's another world or another aspect of it that is also important. So I got into that. I started reading books, and I also through that I got into stocks. Like, okay, invest in stocks, you can make money, you can become rich, and all that. And then I came here undergrad, and you know, and when you come to America, you get exposure to the stock market. That's one of the things, and you think you can get rich. So that is how I started. And 2020 was the time where a lot of people had time. Also, I think that was a lot. That was the time where a lot of retail traders
Yeah.
grew in number. So I was one of them. I think with GameStop and all that. So that
Okay.
got me interested in finance. And when you make a little bit of money, you start becoming curious. Okay, why did I make it? Right? How can I make more? And then the same thing when you lose money, you'd be like, oh, I lost money. How can I make more? So that was how I got into it. So started with stocks, and then I started researching about options. I started teaching myself a lot. I remember freshman year in my dorm room, uh, I used to write different option strategies on my window using a marker. And that was how I taught myself a lot of YouTube videos. And that's how I got into it. YouTube videos, you can only go up to a certain point. After that, it's not going to work, right? So that's why I wanted to go into the academic aspects of it to kind of solidify.
Interesting. I think I followed the same journey. I can echo with
Yeah.
whatever you told about writing and figuring out the strategies. But tell me this: how many times did you blow up your account, or you didn't blow up and you have been successful? Or just tell me those stories.
I mean, I think I've definitely done it a couple times, but after some point, you're like, for me at least, after some point, I was like, look, the good thing it was summer, so I used to wake up at 5. Imagine, I used to wake up at 5 a.m. to do research, to just do research. Like, okay, what's going on in the market? What's all those things? Okay, what is options? Put option and go deeper and deeper and deeper. And then market opens at 9, and then I'm on the screen just watching everything. And then 3 p.m. I think in Minnesota, that's where it is. So 3 p.m. I think that's when it closed, 3 or 4 p.m. and then stops. So basically the entire day I was focused on this since 5 a.m. So I knew that it would be hard or difficult with classes that I'm taking. So that's when I had to stop trading. You know, uh, but yeah, I did blow up my account a couple of times. But I had to stop because it's either that or my studies. So I had to make a tough decision. But I still trade here and there, even here in Lehigh. But it's not, you know,
Yeah,
100%.
the-
Yeah. Actually,
did
now in the
you
market, like if you invest in anything, you're not gonna lose money. For the past year, it's just been going up. So yeah, it's good. Good time.
do you think during the bull run, do you think a lot of amateur guys will get into the market, will think that the market is easy? Like you rightly said, just invest, make the money. Do you think this pattern, happens more? Do you think this is where a lot of retail traders get into the market and burn their hands left and right?
Yeah, that's I was one of that, so I think I can talk about that. It's the fear of missing out, FOMO. Same thing happened with crypto. If you remember, like the Bitcoin bull run, same thing happened with GameStop. Same thing happened with like after 2020, after COVID crash, the market going up. So yeah, I think bull run is where a lot of retail traders get in, and
Correct.
and the thing is, you can't blame. You can only act on the information that you have, right? Yes, you can see the chart before, but if you just started trading and the thing is just going up and up and up and up, you would expect it to go up, right? Even if it goes down, let's say 1% or 2%, you've never seen the 10% or 15% in action. So you'd be like, oh, it's a dip. Let me buy it, right? But then you get something like 2022 went down like the entire year. So yeah, I think a lot of retail traders just get into the market in bull runs and they underestimate the drawdowns of the market. And that's where a lot of people lose money when it comes to retail traders. And but that's what we're trying to study, right? Minimize the risks, minimize the drawdowns.
Awesome. So let's get back to the university, Lehigh University. So you told that you had done your bachelor's and you got into the Lehigh University. Could you please walk through what all you have gone through? I mean, what is the application process which is there for Lehigh, and what are the SOPs? What are the LORs you have got it? Whatever the process you have followed, whatever the exams, and what were your scores, if you're okay to share with them, because it would be very beneficial for an quant finance aspirant outside, like, gauge whether he's on track or not. So if you could help with the application process.
Yeah, but yeah, I think it is stressful for anyone who's trying to apply, because this is like you're deciding a big decision in your life. So
Yeah.
I'm happy to share. So for me, I was about to finish undergrad. I think it was around December of 2023. That's when I started considering, okay, I want to do master's in financial engineering. That's when I decided to do it. So I would like also one of my professor recommended me to do MFE, and I started looking for it. The first website that I went to is what are the best MFE programs in university in the United States. But also
What's MFE? What's MFE? If you could.
Masters in Financial Engineering. So
Okay,
MFE is
got it.
Masters in Financial Engineering. They call it Masters Financial Engineering, Mathematical Finance, Quantitative Finance. It's mostly the same thing, right? It's the same thing. It's just named differently. But the website that really helped me, I think, was the quant.net,
Okay.
quant.net website. And it shows, the best ranking um, programs, not just MFE, but, like quantitative finance or mathematical finance, and it shows like the acceptance rates. It shows
Yeah.
the quality, the reviews, all that. So I think that was helpful for me, and I started like looking into them. And then the application process was okay. The thing is, I did not get tested on the GRE or the examinations needed, because right
Okay.
now not every university require that. I know Lehigh doesn't require that at least. So I didn't study for that, which was easier for me because, studying actuarial science, that was my final year. Classes are not easy. Again, studying for the GRE would have been a little bit difficult for me. So I got lucky with that. And I was really happy when I heard that Lehigh University doesn't require the GRE. So, um, so yeah, that was a good thing. Some universities do require that. And yeah, so you know, Lehigh was one of the universities that I had on my list. I applied through the Lehigh University website. Before that, before my application, I actually reached out to admissions counselor. Her name is Addison, or I don't have it, but I reached out. So I would if you're applying to any type of university, I would recommend reaching out to the admissions counselor and having a 15
Okay.
minute call, 15-minute call,
Okay.
right? Just to kind of hear from them what it looks like, what the program is about, so that you're not just picking universities. So I had that conversation with her. It was nice. She told me about the tuition, about the classes, credit requirements, and all that. So after that, I applied through the Lehigh website, and yeah, that was basically my application process. And also, before I got any acceptance or anything, I did an interview with the program director and the admissions counselor together. So it was an interview where, he asked me questions, he tested me on some things. And that was also an eye opener because, Lehigh has a lot of projects that he recommended me to go and watch on YouTube. And, I thought those projects were challenging. I didn't know about most of the projects. And yet I'm here trying to do quantitative finance, and I thought I had a good background in it. So that was like a reality check. Oh, there's a lot of things that I don't know. And, getting involved in these kind of projects would help me. And I think that was one of the things that I lacked in my undergrad. It was mostly studies and not projects and not, real life active projects. So I was like, yeah, this is a great opportunity. And the acceptance came, I think I finished my application in March, and the acceptance came, I think, around April, and I was so happy
Okay.
about it. That
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 was
that was
fast.
that was the process.
Tell me this, why Lehigh University out of all universities? Because you got Rutgers, Stevens, Baruch, uh, lot of universities. Why Lehigh out of them? Have you applied to other universities, or did you just apply only Lehigh? If you applied for other universities, what all admits have you got?
Yeah, I actually didn't apply to a lot of universities. I think I applied to three universities. I think it was University of Minnesota, Lehigh
Okay.
University, and what was it? University of and some other university. But I think it was three universities. The reason I chose Lehigh was mostly about the projects and also the program director. You've met him. He's, ambitious guy. And I really wanted that kind of energy and mentorship through my process. Sometimes it's not just about classes, and getting that exposure to the projects and mentorship for me was very essential. I also didn't have, what is it, industry experience, right? So having that mentorship for me was very crucial. And I'm so happy that I took it, to be honest, because I remember first time I had a conversation with him, he recorded me, like, tell me about yourself and things like that. And now there's a big change in just 1 year. And it's not just you're getting the quantitative finance through the classes, but you're also improving yourself, your personality, and the way you present yourself.
So tell me what happened in that first recording of yours. What happened at that time?
Do you want me to remember it now?
Yeah, sure.
So it was just he invited me to his office, me and one other student, and he, told us a lot of things about the industry, the expectations, like some advice on how we should tackle our 2 years of studies, things like that. Really essential. And then after that, he said, "Okay, I'll give you a microphone now, and I'll record you." I didn't expect that. And you tell me about yourself and why you're here and why you're here. So I made the mistake that a lot of international students make, which is when you ask the question, you just go around circles, and you get lost. And it's when you get nervous that happens. So yeah, so that was technically it. And I noticed that that day there was work to be done, right? So that was it. And for the program director, the way you present yourself is very important.
That's really cool. I mean, having an awkward situation and thinking that, you can make the best out of it, see that as a learning and like, try to learn and, get the best version of you. I mean, like, I don't see any hiccups. You're talking fantastic right now. So I think that old guy would be proud if he sees this guy. So let's get back to the academics a bit. I wanted to understand more about what all subjects you study. So you told that you are in your second year of Lehigh MFE, Masters in Financial Engineering. So if you could, walk us through what all subjects you have taken in your first year, first semester, second semester, and the third one, it would be great.
Yeah, of course. Here, Lehigh, I would say it's mostly 50-50, right? So you spend 50% of your time, really depends on how you take it, but for me at least it was 50% working on projects and then 50% classes. So the way I structured it the first semester was, okay, I'm working on these projects and I want to take classes that resonate with these projects. That way I take the classes and I also apply it to these projects. That was like a really good idea. I did it with two of my friends and I think we all benefited from that actually. So the classes that I took was derivatives, risk
Okay.
management and derivatives class, which was
Okay.
about options, futures and options, right? And the second class was intro to machine learning, which is very important. It talked about like the basics of machine learning and the different machine learning algorithms that you can use, linear regression, logistic, and then random forest. And then it goes into a little bit into deep learning too. And then the third one was optimization, right? Which is
Okay.
also important. That's also kind of like intro to optimization, but it's just using mathematical formulas to optimize something. You have an objective and you have constraints, and how do you want to minimize or maximize something? So those were the three things I took in my first semester. You
Okay.
want me to go to the second semester?
I mean, if you could brief us down what all subjects generally. So right now you told that, intro to machine learning, optimization and options and futures, right? So is it going to be the same in the second semester? Are you mainly, reading about math and finance and a bit of coding or how the subjects are? I wanted to understand what all subjects have you gone through? Because at the end
Yeah.
of the day, this is what will be thrown on the CV and this is what you'll be talking eventually for, the next plans.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so let me just run through like the other classes that I took and I kind of try to summarize it. So the second semester I took random processes, which is probability, right? Random processes, which is the class you take before stochastic calculus. I took financial optimization, which was the next step of the optimization class, which was more tailored towards finance. And then I also took fixed income,
Okay.
how do you value bonds, loans, and things like that. And then this semester, I'm taking there in Lehigh, we have a professional development class where
Okay.
we, talk about the job market, like elevator pitch, things like that. How do we communicate with professionals and, those things, professional development. I'm taking stochastic calculus and I'm also taking time series, which I think is very important. So yeah. So to summarize, so far, it's a combination of math, finance, and I think optimization. Yeah. So it's the industrial systems engineering department, which is the optimization and a little bit of computer science, machine learning, and things like that. And then you have the math, which is the statistics, the probability, the stochastic calculus part, and then the finance, which is the derivatives, options, fixed income. Yeah. And then over the summer, I also took a finance class, which was company analysis,
Okay.
which focused more on, how do you um, kind of analyze financial statements, how do you value a company, LBOs, which is leveraged buyouts, and different things that go on in finance. So yeah, it's a combination of finance, math, and optimizing.
Got it. Tell me this, Estefanos. I mean, let's say that I do not have any background on math, coding, and finance. I happen to be a guy who watched Wolf of Wall Street movie, and then I thought I could make a lot of money. And also, if you see, there are a lot of posts going on the social media stating that quant analyst or quant developer or quant researcher, 200K, 300K, and it has gone viral. So let's say I'm that kind of a guy and I have got no background and I wanted to get started with quant finance. Do you think this guy can survive the storm? Or do you think the quant finance courses are only for the people who had at least basics from math or coding or finance? So what do you think?
That's a nice question. So are you talking about classes? Like how difficult or how feasible is it going to be to take those classes and finally graduate? Or are you talking about the job market? Like once you're done with that, the job market.
Tell me both the scenarios. I mean, like I would love to hear
Okay.
both the scenarios.
Okay. So I think having a background is good, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Sure.
if you have a math background, you're gonna do really good in most of the classes. If you have a computer science background, and when I say background, it's not that you have the degree. You
Yeah.
you even if it's self-taught, it's good, right? So it will come in handy in a lot of things, whether you're working on projects or whether you're taking classes. Yes, it
Okay.
will come in handy. But if you don't have the background, that doesn't necessarily mean you're not going to succeed.
Yeah.
I have friends who don't have math backgrounds and they're
Okay.
doing really good. When I tell you that, so one of my friends has an economics background. That's, a little bit of math, but we've taken classes together. He is good. You know what I mean? And the one thing that I will give him is his passion to always consistently be curious, right? And act on that curiosity, and to just keep going. If you don't have the background, try to soft teach yourself the necessary backgrounds before you join the program. I mean, some people say
What do you mean by necessary backgrounds? Do you
yeah.
mean math,
So
coding,
that
and finance?
I would recommend all three of them, right? You don't
Yeah.
need a degree in it, but know the
Okay.
basics. I could mention some concepts right now, which would
Okay.
be, I mean, okay, like for example, fixed income. Fixed
Okay.
income. It also depends on which aspect of quant finance do you want to go into, right? If
Sure.
you don't have a computer science background, let's say C++, it's going to be difficult to go into high frequency, right? So you
Sure.
want to focus on which part of the industry you want to go to and focus on which background you need, right? Some doesn't need as much as computer science background. Some needs more of, I don't know, maybe math background, and some needs more of finance background. So one example I'll give you. Let's say you want to go into the fixed income space. Before joining Masters in Financial Engineering, I would highly recommend understanding the time value of money. How do you like play around with interest, right? So just if you search on Google time value of money and you watch some YouTube videos on that, that's enough. And then computer science. Right now, I mean, for me, I didn't have a computer science background when I came here. I didn't have it. And you can go around using ChatGPT and things like that. But if you want to go into the lead code, like interviews, that's going to be difficult. But in your academics, I don't think that's going to play a big role in what
Okay.
classes that you take. Yeah. And then the math, that's the other aspect of it. I think the math can be, as long as I think, try to learn calculus 1, calculus 2 by yourself. That should be more than enough, right? Try to
Sure.
learn some statistics, like mean, variance, and yeah, those things. If you know, I mean, you've probably taken that in high school or even a little bit of in college, but those are basic things that you would need. That's it. You know,
Okay.
but then the classes are not easy. These are just the foundation you need to get into these. And then the main struggle is when you start classes.
Got it. Got it. That's a great answer. So you're saying that you need a bit of basics, but it's not impossible. It's possible for everyone to get into quant finance. It's doable. But you see these three subjects: the coding, the finance, and the math. Each individually itself is a big, big ocean. I mean, you have guys out there, who are like, math experts, coding experts, and people who are like, finance experts. And in this field, we are, kind of creating a combo of all these three. So while though you are passionate about the quant finance, I just wanted to understand, has there been any moment for you? You are like, man, this is too hectic. I think it's not going to happen. Why did I choose this? Why did I go on through this? I would have just took some finance concept and been around with the stock market or the company analysis. But why did was there any moment where you completely worn out and you felt the weight of the three subjects?
I mean, you gotta feel that way. Like if you don't feel like that, that means you're not actually learning things, right? You have to be overwhelmed with information.
Okay.
I would say like me not having a coding background kind of overwhelmed me a little bit. Not necessarily in classes, but after graduation. But that's only if you want to go into some aspects of the industry, I believe. But anyway, yes, it can be overwhelming sometimes. The classes can be overwhelming. Balancing it with your life and all that can be overwhelming. But the only thing you can do that would help you go on the other side or keep going is if you just keep going. Try to be as organized in your personal life and in your studies and, give it time and, step by step, one step at a time, you'll catch one or two things along the way. You don't have to be an expert. No one is. I don't think, uh, I mean,
Yeah, no one.
obviously if you spent 20 years in this industry, yeah, I guess you become some kind of expert, but we just students, right? We learn. We're trying to learn. So you also have to understand that and do what you're supposed to do. Learn, right? And as long as you do that, I think it's fine. Everything will be fine. Trust me. It's 2 years. If you consistently learn, you will be at least somehow knowledgeable about something. So yeah, that's what I think.
So got it. Got it. I mean, staying consistent, not giving up, being in the zone. I think that sails through. That's what,
Yeah. And also, as a student, surround yourself with hardworking students. Most people are hardworking, but, just having that environment of group work too, with my friends, having to work on homeworks, assignments, projects together has been really helpful for me. Masters, the good thing about masters is that a lot of people come from different backgrounds. So you get to learn as long as you're willing to, you're open to learn, right? And the drawback of
Okay, it's recording. You can go ahead. Sorry, we had a hiccup.
yeah. So you also have to understand like everyone is on the same boat, right? Everyone is on the same boat. So the only way you can pass this journey is by doing it together. So, use people's strengths to benefit you, and cover your weakness and do the same for them. That way you and your friends, your teammates can pass together. So it's more of teamwork too. It's not a journey that you're in by yourself, unless you're the only one
Got
in
it.
the program.
Got it. Got it. Tell me this, like, you have used the word organizing. Speaking of organizing, I wanted to understand what would be the typical day of a student at Lehigh going through masters in financial engineering. Just narrate me from the time you wake up and how much time do you sleep, and till the time you sleep. Just walk me through your daily routine.
Yeah. So it depends. Not everyone has the same schedule, right? Everyone lives differently, but I can tell you my schedule. I'm actually proud of it a little bit. But anyway, I try to work out in the mornings. From Monday to Thursday is when I work out in the mornings. Actually, some of the MFE students, today I worked out with one of the guy. Mornings from gym open 6:30. work out until
Okay.
8, and then,
Okay.
you know, depending, like, let's say I have like classes today, I would go to class maybe around um 9:30, or class could be around 9:30, or it could be 10:30, it could be 12. But before that,
Okay.
if I have time, I'll try to, after I, eat breakfast, take shower and all that, get out of my house. I'll try to go to the library and prepare for classes. And some classes you have to prepare before the class starts, try to study ahead of time. And I'll do that before classes, and then I'll have one or two classes that day. And then after that, maybe work on a couple projects. We're
Okay.
working on what the Gamma Capture project and Bolo. So maybe give some time on that. And yeah, in the afternoons, usually most of us, if there's work, we work. If not, maybe do some homeworks and things like that. But the week, the days change, but the week is kind of constant. But it's mostly filled with, for me, is working out. That's what keeps me sane. Classes, projects, and working on campus, right? Those are the key things that I have right now in my schedule. Yeah. And right now it's not that busy because we're just starting classes. But last semester was we had this random probabilities class, which was more of like the probability and distributions and things like that. So also fixed income, which we had homeworks almost every week. Every week for all three of the classes, we had homeworks. So I used to spend time in the library until 2 a.m. sometimes because the library closes at
Okay.
2, and
Yeah.
then wake up at 8 a.m. But it's not always like that, but sometimes if it's necessary, that it is necessary. Sometimes if you have midterms or finals, there are times where we stay the entire night in the library studying. If it's necessary, you do that. But it's not always like that.
So you told that you spend a lot of hours in library, brushing through the books and all. Tell me this, with the help of ChatGPT, now we have got ChatGPT 5, where we have agents working. So the other day, I was going through the one of the research paper from BlackRock, which is about the agents, where there were three agents, where one of the agent is talking about the fundamental research, the second is talking about some other stuff, and third some other stuff. So it's basically having three guys talking about one topic, and all the three guys giving their respective decision, and they have to debate among the three so that they give us a final conclusion. So when I've gone through the paper, when I've gone through this research, I felt there is a lot, there's a huge threat for Quant Finance, guys, because it's basically replacing it. It's taken over. What do you think? So you told that you have been studying in the library for hours and hours. You told that you had no programming experience, but with the help of ChatGPT, I can give a command. I can have the full code in Python or C++ or whatever it is. So I wanted to understand your view on the ChatGPT taking over the Quant Finance industry. So as a student, what do you think? On what front, on what levels does the student should be ready to be in the sync with the technology?
I'd say, okay, you asked a lot of questions over here. So is our job, in risk of being covered by ChatGPT or AI? And then another thing is, how much do you use it in your projects or things like that?
Sure. Sure.
Um, okay. So is our job at risk as a student? I'll just tell you as a student, okay?
Okay.
I think all of the jobs are at risk. AI is not just a software now, it's also a hardware, right?
Hmm.
With Tesla having those robots, and probably other companies are also working on it. It's not just a software, it's a hardware too. And when you have a database of all these different robots
Hmm.
experiencing different failures, but they
Okay.
have one mind in the database, imagine how fast the learning is. For us,
Sure.
our learning happens in only in what happened in our lives, right? These robots, it's like a million, like maybe in the next 5 years, millions of them, what, let's say 100,000 of them, going through life and learning in one mind or database. So I think most of the jobs are at risk. It's something that we can't really do anything about it. but I don't want to think about that much.
Okay.
I don't want it to drag me down. But anyway, as of now, I use ChatGPT. Yes, I would also, after using it for, a couple of years now, it really depends on how you use it. You could work on a project and say, ChatGPT, do this for me. It would do it, but oftentimes it wouldn't do it the way you expect it. And oftentimes you also wouldn't understand what it did. Right. So
Okay.
the way I use ChatGPT, you've seen it, is have the general picture of the project and
Okay.
start, narrowing down in what specific thing you want to work on. And then
Okay.
that specific thing, you can use ChatGPT to do that for you. Now you understand the overall structure and those things you ask ChatGPT, and it's easier to understand what ChatGPT is doing. And it's also easier to validate if it's doing it properly. That's what coding, because I don't have much of a coding background. And we have to um, present our project every Friday, give updates. So if you don't really know what ChatGPT did for you, you can't really present it. You can't even validate if it's right or wrong. So, for anyone who's using ChatGPT, I would say use it properly. Do the most of the work by yourself, but kind of delegate the task to ChatGPT and give proper instructions. And if you can give proper instructions, chances are you understand what you're doing.
Good.
But yeah, the job.
I think, ChatGPT is a boon for us because, it's kind of accelerating the game. There's no need for a student to get started with A, B, C, D. You can just get started. You can just use the technology. If the person is not, happy with the, coding or any idea, got no idea about the coding, they can use the ChatGPT and they can get started with the Quant Finance. So as rightly said, you talked before that, there should be a minimum basics which has to be learned by a student who wanted to get into the Quant Finance industry. So I think that student, that guy can take the help with the Chat GPT and can learn basic concepts really quick and can get started with the Quant Finance. I think in that way it could be useful. And obviously on the technology front, it's doing great, solving a lot of complex data with the help of ChatGPT. It's getting simpler for us. It's getting better for us. I think there is a different narrative to it. Not looking on the negative side, but on the positive side, there's a different narrative to it. And if we are in the game, if you are using the ChatGPT, if we understand or how to train the ChatGPT according to our demands, I think that's the game. That's the game we have to be in. Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
maybe it wouldn't take the job entirely, but definitely I've heard students who've been in the industry talk about how much it's used. Usually companies use their own LLM so
exactly.
that the data doesn't go out, but it makes your work and life a lot more easier. And if you can do it while understanding a lot of things that is being done, it's like hiring people for $20. You've hired like two analysts for $20. So
$20 a
why not leverage it? Yeah. And then you take much of the credit for it. So
sure,
yeah.
sure. So tell me this. I have this question where we get to know that the professors or for the subjects in US universities generally gives you a topic where the student would be working on the topic on his own, and the students will be coming to the class and they'll be discussing the topic. They'll be the professors will be sharing the real time scenarios or industry experience so that you would be having a wide global perspective regarding the subject. So is it the same like in Lehigh, where you're going to discuss the subject where the student is expected to learn something on his own, or is it like the professor is going to handhold you from the start till the end and would be there on every aspect?
Yeah. Yeah. And this is for classes specifically, right?
Gen-
Okay, so classes, I would say most of the classes that I've taken it's usually explained well. Like the professors explain it, they try to explain it from the ground up. Maybe some of the topics they won't go deep into it, but they will take some time to kind of brush up on it. And that
Mhm.
has been really helpful. Yeah. But I would say, for example, yeah, so I would say yes, they brush up on it, but some they don't. Maybe if you don't have any background in, let's say, finance, right? Let's say time value of money, you haven't discounted something, some number,
Okay.
or you haven't done that might be difficult for you if you're doing fixed income, because fixed income is only time value of money. Everything you do, and it's just, you're just applying it on different concepts of finance, a little bit changed. But, and the professor doesn't spend time on teaching that time value of money because that's something you should have had before. But if you
Got it.
really think about it, it shouldn't take more than an hour. It's like a one session class, and you just do some practice questions. You're good for that class. You're ready to
Okay.
at least learn fixed income. So yes, the professors will brush up on it, but some students might need more time on that brush up. Some students may not. So yeah, that is what I would say. But in general, if you're going to be doing masters in financial engineering, you're going to
Mhm.
have to teach yourself. You're
Okay.
going to have to teach yourself. What, you know, if let's say you want to go into quant research, you're going to, let's say, have to replicate a research paper.
Understood. Okay.
You've seen it's oftentimes there's going to be a lot of topics that you don't know about,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So you have to look, research, what is this topic about, go here and there and try to understand things. But, technically, if you have that spirit, you're going to be good, right? We don't have like much of a coding background, but we're working on, coding intensive projects. So you're going to have to be flexible and be open-minded to learn different things. But, don't hold yourself back saying, I should learn this. You're here to learn. So give yourself the opportunity to learn, and don't limit it to just learning in class. The majority class is just some segments of your schedule. The majority
Okay.
of the learning is done outside of class. The majority of the learning is when you're doing homeworks, when you're studying for exams, when you're doing your project. And if you're curious enough, when you're trying to learn some other thing, right? So,
Got it.
so just because you're taking masters in financial engineering doesn't make you a good or a qualified person. It's what you do outside of that.
Got it. Got it. So while there's a strong support from professors, there's definitely a lot of work from the student, which has to be done on a daily basis, which has to be incorporated on a daily basis. I guess that's where the winner stays. Understood. Understood.
Yeah,
Can you
yeah.
quickly?
It's like one before the think about the program as the spare part of a car. You are the engine and what you do outside of that. They provide you with all the resources and everything. That's why you pay for the program, right? They provide you with all the resources, all the support. But if you don't, leverage that to learn more, it's going to be difficult. You're not going to. It will be difficult. Yeah.
It's going to be a scrap car then. Understood.
Yeah.
Understood. So let's try to make some Lamborghini then. Okay. Understood. So let's go back to the internship topic, which I wanted to understand. I'm sure you might have applied to a lot of companies, a lot of firms where you wanted to get an internship. So I wanted to understand that journey part and whether have you had an internship in your summer? If yes, which one? If not, then what have you done in your summer? Have you worked on any projects and all? I'm kind of summing up the question so that you can
Yeah.
just narrate your summer story. Yeah.
Yeah. So I really wanted a summer internship this summer. I've interviewed for a couple companies.
Okay.
Some I went far, and the last, final interview I didn't get it, and a lot of it just no response. And that's the case actually. It's mostly going to be rejection, but it also depends on the approach you take. So when it comes to, I think it's just my perspective on internships,
Hmm.
it's mostly it's like sales, right? If you have a
Okay.
good sales background, then it's good. It's good for you because now you have a product.
Hmm.
It's mostly about how you sell it. So in our program, what they say is usually go for not the big companies, but the smaller ones. That's
Okay.
where you have less hustle to get in, to get in those positions. And all it takes is networking to do that. And that's one aspect of it too. It's not just, okay, you've done all this. That's not enough. I've worked on different projects. I've spent a lot of time on projects, class and all that. But to be frankly honest, I didn't spend a lot of time networking and things like that. And, that's going to be my focus on this semester and all that. And I could talk about how, but that's also a key aspect of it. Networking,
Mhm.
knowing people, right? I remember one person said, you just have to
Okay.
plant seeds as in get to know people and let them know
Understood.
what your interests are. And when an opportunity comes up, those seeds will, you know, give some kind of return to you. So, I mean, let's see how that strategy plays out. But yeah, so over the summer, I didn't get an internship. What I instead focused on is, doubling down on projects. I spent a lot of time on the gamma capture project, which is volatility prediction, working on the data set and all that. And I took a class, as I said, the
Okay.
finance class, which really,
Okay.
gave me some kind of exposure to credit risk, valuing companies, and the finance aspect of quantitative finance.
Can you just quickly summarize what all projects have you worked on? I mean, if you can explain it on a simpler language, so that and if an amateur looks out for the video, he should, if he could understand, that's the main thing. So if you could summarize your projects, whatever you have worked on, what does that project mean, and what is the current status of the project?
Yeah. So when I first started the program, as I said, I didn't have much of a coding background. Did some trading, I researched options and stocks. So the first thing that came into my mind was options, right? So there
Okay.
was this project opportunity to do option strategies with Volos.
What is Volos?
Volos is like the sponsor company. So
Okay.
they have option back. They provide a software where you can back test your option strategies. The good thing about Volos is it has a really good database of options,
Okay.
which is,
Okay.
as a someone who's traded before in the retail, having access to that data was just privileged. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I remember so I got access to that software and, I was I was basically given the green card to test out different option strategies, when you combine a call option on Nvidia and maybe a put option on, let's say, what, VIX, or I don't know, like buying, selling, call option, put options, mixing those with different stocks or ETFs. How would it play? And then maybe you roll it monthly or you roll it weekly. You have some triggers. Wait, am I
Okay.
going too fast? I
No,
hope
no,
this
no.
is okay. And you have like trigger points.
Okay.
And you can basically back test that strategy on a longer time frame. Uh I can give you one example, right? For people who have traded before, who have
Sure.
heard of VIX, right?
Okay.
VIX, VXY. I mean, you've heard of this, right? Sorry.
Yeah, but what is VIX? Explain to me.
VIX is the implied volatility index. It's it's the implied volatility of the S&P 500. So S&P 500 is considered the market. The implied volatility of the S&P 500, implied volatility, okay, is the future, what the market thinks the future volatility is going to be. And I've seen before that the way they measure VIX, I don't know, I don't want to go against the VIX companies, but I, from I think what I've researched is you have the S&P 500, and usually the options are priced using like the key factor is the implied volatility, right? That's how
Yeah.
the prices are done. No, the prices are it's the supply and demand within the market, right? People want to buy, sell, and things like that. That's how the options are priced. And then you can extract the implied volatility from the price, right? So, so that's the implied volatility. And when you go to at the money implied volatility of the S&P 500, when you when you extract it using whatever formula, Black-Scholes, or
Mhm.
from the price, you can get the implied volatility. And I think that's what the VIX is, right? So the future volatility of S&P 500 within maybe the next 30 days or something. So that's the VIX. So if the market thinks the volatility is going to be high, the VIX is going to, meaning if the S&P is going to go down sharply, you would have usually spikes in VIX. Let's
Okay.
say let's say, what is it? Jerome Powell interest rate reports, job market reports, election days, things like that. Usually the VIX spikes, COVID, VIX spikes, market goes down. So anyway, it's volatile, right? And one simple strategy, whether it makes money or not, But anyway, you'd be curious when the VIX spikes, since it's gonna go down eventually, because it usually mean reverts. Since it's gonna go down, when it goes up, I will buy put options.
Okay.
That's usually when you're new, you're like put options so that the VIX goes down. But because the VIX goes up, the put option is going to be expensive too but anyway, I'll buy put options and I'll make sure whenever it goes up, that's the trigger point. I'll buy put options when it goes up by this much. The put option may be 1 month out, and I will do that whenever that happens. And you can test that strategy using the Bolo software. And that's the beauty of it, You can have different strategies like this, and you can test it on Volos. So I really spent a lot of time my first semester on this project. Oh, I took too much time on this.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay. To summarize it, Volos, what I understood is Volos is a software where it is having lot of data about options, and you could try different strategies from the software. Understood. Great. If you could summarize, what all is this the only project you have worked on,
No.
or what are the other projects?
And then after that, I realized that I needed some kind of coding background. This one was, you use the software to do the back testing, but you get the analytical skills and all that, and also exposure to call and put options. And then I realized I needed some kind of Python background, and I was also taking a machine learning class that semester. So there was this algorithmic trading project where we basically collected a bunch of technical indicators like RSI, MACD. These indicators tells you whether if the momentum is high or low, if it's overbought or oversold, things like that, right? So we were like, okay, if we combine all these technical indicators as features, we can train a machine learning algorithm. And then your target variable is going to be whether the next time or the next hour or minute or day, if the price was going to go up or down. So we can train a machine learning algorithm to kind of predict the movement of the stock. And we used random forests. I practiced with that, and we it was backed by this really nice book of quantitative finance of machine learning for quantitative finance. Lopez de Pro.
Okay.
I don't know
Sure.
if you've heard of it, but it's a great book, and our sponsor usually recommended us to add different aspects in the project through that book. And it was really a big learning experience to machine learning and all that. And yeah, that's what I did, algorithmic trading. That's the Folding F project here. And then I also did the BTCS project, which is crypto arbitrage. That was a new field for me. I haven't heard about the decentralized exchange before or blockchain. I've heard about crypto, but I didn't really understand the blockchain aspect of it. But through the project was mainly focused on, you have different liquidity pools in a decentralized exchange. Okay, think of the liquidity pools as buckets, and within those buckets have, let's say, banana and apple in one of the buckets, and the other one you have orange and what, peanuts. And as a market, you can go to that bucket and trade. You'll be like, okay, I can take this much apple and give you this much. Let's say apple and potatoes, apple and orange. Okay. Anyway, if there's apple and orange in the bucket, you could say, I can give you this much apple, you give me this much orange. That's how the liquidity pool or decentralized exchange works. So basically, we had to build an algorithm that kind of searches if there's any arbitrage opportunity and trades on that. And I didn't have much of a coding background. We used Rust, but I had a really good teammate who had a really good computer science background, so I was able to learn a lot of things from them through that project.
This is a programming language. It's a program.
Yeah. Yes. So Rust is from what I've heard, the industry, the crypto world is just Rust. Everyone uses Rust, from what I've seen. A lot of people use Rust. A lot of the blockchain infrastructure is built using Rust. And then that's because of the speed that Rust offers. And yeah, so if you have any C++ background, you gotta start getting into Rust because that would open a big opportunity in the crypto space. If you know how to, if you're really good at Rust, right? You might as well, if you're really good at C++, you might as well leverage it to get into the crypto space because I think a lot of money is being made over there. But you know, these are some of the things you can't really use ChatGPT for. You gotta actually know what you're doing, right?
Yeah.
So
That's where the human
that's
comes. Got it.
yeah, that's where it comes. Yeah. And then the gamma capture project.
Yeah, sure. You could explain about the gamma capture in just one or two sentences.
Okay. So the gamma capture is basically we're trying to predict volatility. We've gathered this data set of 1 minute open, high, low, close data over about 20 years. And, you know, a lot of the work that has been done is the data processing part right now. But, you know, we try to use that data, calculate volatility and study volatility using statistics, right? And through those statistical results that we get, through the results from those statistics that we get, we try to, you know, further expand our analysis on it.
I mean, I think you have done 4 projects. It's just been an year for you. I think that's great. That's great. You have got a lot of portfolio on your CV to talk about whenever someone asks, like, about the Quant Finance, about the projects you have done. I think it's great. I'll go with my last question. This is going to be interesting. Let's say that, with all this hard work, let's keep it aside. If you're going back to that guy who, blowed up his account twice and again started the master's in financial engineering at Lehigh. Now he's this new guy who entered the college. What different things would you do from the one which you have already done? So, what different? You talked about the networking, you talked about a lot of stuff about your discipline, about your workout. But yeah, if you go back and if you are doing this again, if you're doing the masters again, what different would you do which would which would keep you in a better position right now?
That's a nice question. I think networking, it's not just a saying when they say your network is your net worth. You know, how many people can you actually call up who are in the industry and you can have a conversation with? For me, I think that's very important. If I could go back, it's something I could still do, but if I can go back before I started, or I would go to as much networking events. And, you know, the thing that held me back, and, you know, people don't make the same mistake. The thing that held me back from networking was that I didn't have the projects. I didn't have that exposure to quantitative finance enough. First, it's I don't have the exposure, and then the second was I didn't have it enough. But that's just another reason. You can go to a conference with just an interest, and if you're enrolled, that would be nice. And say I'm enrolled and I'm very interested, right? So I think that's enough. That would be something I would do if I could go back and try to have as many contacts in my phone who are in the industry and learn from them too. Like, what do you do? That way I can understand better, like what to focus on based on whether I like what they're doing or not. Because you see, I've been involved in different projects, right? If I had networked, you know, enough, maybe I would have found that, you know, that is so amazing what that guy is doing or that girl is doing. And I would just focus on what they're doing right now and try to build on projects related to what they're doing. And also, I have their contact information on top of that.
Okay.
So that would be something I would do. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Networking.
Eh,
Main tank.
Networking. If you want like advice, I can give like one last advice. I would
Sure, go for
say
it.
whatever makes you nervous,
Mhm.
whatever makes you nervous, as long as it's a good thing, just do it, right? Even if you don't have, like, if you're provided the opportunity to do something and it makes you nervous, that's it. That's something that you can't miss out on. Whether it's presentation, speaking up, just do it and get out of that comfort zone. I think that has helped me a lot since I joined this program. You know, like Friday calls, you can't miss it with saying something, right? So that was like my first step, but like, you know, using those opportunity to get out of your comfort zone, that's when you grow. And you don't want to just be a quantitative finance person by the time you graduate. You also want to be a well-rounded person, right? It's not just quantitative finance. You also want to be a good person, right? So yeah, that's what I think.
Awesome. Awesome. I'm sure I've already said this in this podcast. I'm sure that the guy who was kind of frightened to speak, if that guy watches this video, I'm sure he would be proud of. Lot of stuff I have learned, lot of stuff I've understood about the university, about the student perspective on the quant finance, about your rigorous daily schedule, following it up rigorously, not giving up. And of course, when I asked you for this podcast, you told that what I've learned that, I shouldn't say no. So whatever opportunity I get, I should take it up. I think that's a great learning for me. I think that's something which I have to incorporate in my life too. Thanks so much for your time, Estifanos. I hope to meet you after the graduation, and let's try to do another podcast after your graduation, because after 1 year, I'm sure you'll be having a lot of learnings to share with us. So thank you so much for your time, Estebanos. Have a good day.
Thank you for having me, Sai. Thank you.
Thank you.